I'm uncomfortable with this line of questioning. I think I'm going to have to get my lawyer.
Boost, Booze, and Barbecue.
I am excited to have you guys here. We've got quite a lineup here. We've got Kevin Sandridge of BBQ Beat. We've got Brett Galloway of the SCA. And we've got Jim Altek of the SCA. How is everyone doing?
Awesome.
Pretty
Great.
dang good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
This has been a great weekend / experience. Yeah, for sure.
It's been pretty crazy. It's been pretty crazy. There's so much stuff going on. This is my first time at the World Food Championship, and I'm blown away. I feel like a kid at Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, you may have experienced this too, Andy, but you interact with so many people online, right?
Right.
In fact, it's like with Brett, you and I have spoken virtually face-to-face. I mean, I think we've been in the same location before, but just busy and doing other stuff. So it's just been really a great pleasure to connect with people face-to-face and just eye-to-eye and have conversations and realize, man, we actually have a legit relationship together already.
Right.
It's not one of those things where it's just been online, you don't really know them, and then when you meet them, they're a totally different person. And that's one thing I think we can all agree that we're finding out more and more as we get deeper into all of this is that there's a lot of good people out there. Right? And it's what makes this experience so awesome.
For sure.
It is. It's about the people, for sure. Agreed.
Brett, you and I just earlier were talking about how the food, it just brings people together.
Absolutely.
You light up a grill, people are going to gather. And nobody other gathered around salad. I mean, they might, but not in my neighborhood.
That's right.
No.
We might have a little
salad.
bacon.
That's right.
Some ribeye and
Some bourbon.
There it is. Speaking of which, today's episode is being brought to you by Bullet Frontier Tenure.
Delicious.
Nice.
Yum.
Delicious
Yes.
and nutritious. Actually, Jim, I see you've got a Miller Lite over there. but
Yeah,
that's
that was
okay.
what was available in that cooler back there, so I grabbed one.
Fellas, what have we seen so far this weekend? Do you have anything that you're looking forward to? Are you seeing any teams that are kind of standing out? Like, listen, I know you can't play any favorites. I get that. But have you seen anything that you're feeling impressed by so far?
In our events, we ran 2 events this weekend, and these guys have all won events before. But it just seems that the guys that are highest in the points, the guys that are consistent, have performed this weekend. So kind of the high-level teams have remained in that position, and now it's 10 guys going head-to-head in the finals of stake. I'm confident any of them could win this whole thing. So that's really, really neat, and I think it's a testament to the judging.
Absolutely. Cream always rises to the top, no matter where we're at. They always, the guys are very consistent on who we see at the top 10. My experience here, I had the best Cuban sandwich I've ever had in my life over there judging sandwiches. I know we're talking steak and booze, but that sandwich was the best one I've ever had.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because there's so much happening at a very high level here in all these different categories. I think I heard Thomas Keller's sous chef is here competing. I mean, the French Laundry, right? That is no joke, right? I mean, we all know that guys like Tuffy have a French culinary training background, right? And there are those people, but this event covering so many different aspects of cooking and grilling and different food preps and so on and so forth really brings to light a level of competition and I think excellence that you don't always see in many places.
Not at all.
Yep.
Well, this is the World Food Championship, so we've brought all takers. They're all here. Everyone from... We ran through the list last night, but we've got competitors here from England and Australia and Austria and Germany and India. The Netherlands. Just all over the place. This truly is the World Food Championship.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I think a lot of times people will ascribe especially in sports, world champion,
right?
So-and-so, well, the sport's only played here, right?
Yeah.
And you may have people on the given team from different locales across the globe, but I know with the SCA, there are legitimate contenders from other countries who come in and sling some serious action when it comes to the steak world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not just guys in America. There's guys all over the world. At our World Championship this year, a guy got 4th place from Germany.
Yeah.
German guy.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think we had 12 international teams
Out
at
of
our
the-
world championship.
no.
14.
No, keep going.
20.
Keep going. Have another drink. Come on. Drink that Miller Lite. I know it's low in calories.
Yeah.
It's low in
Not
estimations.
team count, but country count, where they're from.
Okay, we had 25 international teams.
25.
And it was actually 9 countries.
9 countries. Awesome.
So
Wow.
it was very interesting.
That's pretty shocking and surprising that people would be able to come from, and not just Canada. You know, Canada's kind of a given, right? I've seen a few license plates from Manitoba and that sort of thing. You know, making its way down to Alabama, that's a long drive, and I was quite surprised by that. But yeah, seeing the teams that flew in from other places,
Yep.
it's just astonishing. Brett, you were telling me about how you've got people who will find out that you're traveling overseas, and they'll start calling you up going, hey, man, bring me this part or bring me that part. Like, please just pack an extra suitcase and bring me this or bring me that.
I travel a lot, so I get an extra suitcase. But guys will, they want Jim Elser stuff down in Florida. They want different things from different guys. And I'll just load up a suitcase and take it with me. But their shipping over there is what kills these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But you've talked to guys. They want to use what we're using here.
Yep.
Their barbecue is where we were 5 years ago here, in my opinion. 5-6 years ago, that's where they are now. They are rabid for, food sport.
Right.
But I was going to ask you guys on the steak side, have there been any sort of flyers, people who have competed in this event that haven't maybe made a name for themselves as consistent winners who have done really well this go-around?
There was a gentleman out of New Jersey. He's cooked a couple events. I believe he's cooked twice. The first time they qualified, actually they qualified for the World Championship. Next time they didn't do as well, but they came back for the third time. They proved themselves, and he's in the top 10.
That's awesome.
I think he was third place on Thursday.
Awesome. Yeah, it can be anybody's game at any given point. Brand new guy could take it all, which is what makes it fun.
Well, and who was the young man you were telling me about? Was it last night?
Yeah. Ty Machado. It's Joey Machado's son. Joey is with B&B Charcoal. They're actually one of our sponsors. But Joey, his son, Ty, the kid's 16 years old. There was just a major article that came out about him. It was about a young 16-year-old prodigy cooker or competition guy out of Texas. And I think it has 1 million views in the last 2 days.
Wow.
So it's this young man cooked in our competition, beat some world championship this weekend, and he's in the final round of this thing. So he could win it, but just making it there for this young guy, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and
That's what it's about, though.
Yep.
that's not just a case of like new blood coming into the sport, like maybe a new adult. That's a young man who is going to inspire other people in his circle, right? Age, demographic, whatever you want to call it, to keep getting involved.
Yeah, that's next generation for us.
Yeah.
We're hoping we do kids cook-offs. Hoping to get them interested. Get the family outside cooking together. But this young man is a guy other kids in school may look up to. He's from the San Antonio area around that way, and hopefully they'll look up to him and want to try to do something cooking-wise.
Or his buddy's going to think he can beat him, and he's going to want to compete against him. And I think
Seriously.
I think that's part of it, too.
That's
That's
huge.
big.
Around the world, we all eat. Everybody loves food. But we always say, mine's better than yours.
I can do better than that guy.
Yep, exactly
Hold my
right.
beer.
And I think that's what makes this place so much fun, is because I can beat your stuff, right?
Right.
And everybody's got that in them.
The rubber meets the road when you're here. That is for sure. And if you've been talking mad smack online to the other barbecue people, and then you show up and you start putting mayonnaise and Creole stuff on your ribs, well, guess what's going to happen? You may get a little bit of that flack back. Oh, no, Kevin's got this look like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. That was supposed to be non-specific, Kevin.
He's mad because he gave away his recipe.
Damn it, Andy. We talked about this.
I
Not
told
again.
you too much white pepper. Always too much white pepper.
Just don't tell anyone that I boil my rib. Wait.
What?
Wait, stop.
Okay, hey, there is something I have to ask you guys because I've been talking to a lot of competitors about this. Weber versus PK, go.
9 out of 10 events are won on a PK grill currently in our organization. Not to say you can't win on anything else. We had a guy win on a chimney. We've got
Wow.
guys win on a trash can.
Was there a shovel somewhere in the storyline?
Well, we had a guy get a 5th place on a shovel in Amsterdam. I was there. They came up to me afterwards and said, hey, Do you realize he had a guy that cooked on a shovel? He dug a hole in the ground, built a fire, put the steak on top of the shovel, got 5th place. I said, well, man, that's a neat story. And I kind of let it go. Then I got on a plane after a couple cocktails. I'm thinking, did that son of a gun clean that shovel? Is that a clean
I hope that
shovel?
wasn't Farmer Sven after
And if he
a
did,
little
is that
round of
considered-
manure spreading.
Is that considered texture?
Texture.
It's umami.
Well, maybe that's why he got what he got.
Umami, yeah.
That's right. Yeah, if you can cook, you can cook. And there's no one grill that wins in SCA. Got guys that won on pellet grills, so if you can cook, you can cook.
Yeah, I had one, my first comp. We were in a campground in Kimberling City, Missouri. We convinced him to try it. So he tried it. He threw his grill grate on the fire ring at the campground. Dude took 4th place with it. First
Nice.
time out.
Fire ring.
On a fire ring in a campground.
Who was I just talking to? I have to go back and chop in his name because I forget what it is, but he's last year's winner, the 2017 winner. He was talking to me about how important it is to get that char on the outside because char is a flavor. People always try to skirt around that because, I don't want my steak burnt or whatever. You need a little bit of that. I don't know what you want to call it, caramelization or the crust or whatever, but that little bit of char that you get on the outside of that steak, it's so
The
important. to
Maillard
flavor profile.
effect, I think, is a term that gets thrown around.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's very important because there's a natural sweetness in the fat of a ribeye. Mm-hmm. And that little char counteracts that sweetness and gives you a great balance and mouthfeel to the bite of that steak. What do you think, Jim?
It gives it a little texture, too, which I think adds to it. I definitely like the char, for sure.
Oh, yeah, we keep threatening to do a lumberjack cook-off because, we're from Oregon.
Sure.
And so the big beards and the flannels are really popular with guys that don't know how to change a tire. And so I was thinking about starting a lumberjack cook-off, and my cousin actually had the idea of taking dulled axes and serving like your entree or your little bite, on the hatchet. We thought that would be a fun thing. I don't know. We call it lumbersexual. It's.
I mean, if you paired that with some skinny jeans and some leather boots and a bong, I think you got quite a cook-off.
Wow, you do know Oregon.
Been there, done that.
No, you know what? What I want to do in Oregon, alongside the steak cook-off, I also would love to start the kids' queue that Jim, you guys are doing with
Kids
the Ozark
queue is
barbecue.
becoming a thing that we have to do. We've got to get to that next generation, get the drive and the passion into our kids. They all love food. Let's show them how to compete in it. Matter of fact, today, back home, we're running our last of a kids' queue points chase. It's in the KCBS world, and we're seeing more and more of those pop up around the country. And the kids get really excited when they get to compete, earn points. They look like dad or mom is competing in the points, and that's been really successful for us.
With all of these schools and the general climate going towards, we don't want to offend the kids, and so we're not keeping score in soccer and things like that. And then to see you guys with a points race barbecue competition, and the kids are just eating it up.
They are eating it up.
It proves we're going the wrong direction. You guys are going the right direction.
Yeah, and there's always we got to teach them that they can't win every time. There's going to be something that stands out and wins, and there's going to be somebody that loses. And that's just part of what we do in food sport.
Losing doesn't make you a loser.
Nope.
It makes you someone that has an area to improve. And if you can't find the value in that, you're not going to become a good person. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Not everyone deserves a ribbon and a puppy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's times you win, there's times you lose in life, and I've learned a lot more from the times I've lost than when I won.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
Speaking
someone
of losing,
this,
how's it going, Kevin?
Oh, that's going great. I was just, as you guys were talking about Kids Queue, there's another thing that Don Fisher, an organizer for a Florida Barbecue Association contest, the Suncoast Barbecue and Bluegrass Bash in Venice, Florida. He does a thing where he takes, so a lot of people who are listening to this may not, I would think you would know him, but Rub Bagby with Swamp Boys Barbecue in Florida is sort of one of the great statesmen of barbecue, and he and his wife Amy teach at a school in Polk County, Florida, that deals with sort of emotionally, handicapped students
Right.
that are struggling with different aspects, everything from, severe handicaps all the way to like learning disabilities. But Don Fisher has created a system where I think it's Thursday night. He teams a child in that category of their life with a cook team. And the cook team takes that kid in and shows them what they do and cooks with them. And it's like a mini competition with those kids. And I have never seen food sport have as much of an impact as that event has every single year in the lives of those kids. And they just come back again, and they look forward to that event so much. It's amazing.
The confidence those kids gain from that event.
Oh, yeah. And Rub actually has started a grilling life skills class as part of the school he teaches at to teach kids how to light a fire on a Weber, how to basically get the basics of cooking vegetables and meats. And so they have a life skill that they can take into the future. That's just amazing.
Rub's a great guy. I've run into him in Florida, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing
need more
about
of that.
that. Yeah, we need more of that, definitely. I want to start doing some of that in Oregon. I got to find a way to start bringing some of this stuff here. I feel like I'm in the wrong state a lot of the time. I apologize, my Oregon listeners, but being here and being able to talk to people, I feel like y'all get my humor better. And,
There's
when
just enough weird down here to make you work, man.
I think that's what it is.
You're almost normal here.
No,
Almost.
I mean, I'll just say this. I think a lot of what you tend to maybe be gravitating to is also just part of Southern culture.
Right.
And I don't know. Would you guys agree with that?
I'd agree completely.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Even though you're almost Southern in Missouri.
Zura.
I mean, you got Ozark, but that's just TV show, brother. That ain't Southern.
Don't blame that one on me.
No, but just a desire
You're right,
to,
though.
I think, preserve and share and pass on a cultural way of life that doesn't care about race or gender or like what you're about as a individual, as long as that individual is a good, kind-hearted person that wants to be around other good, kind-hearted people and have a good time, right? I mean,
Right.
Amen.
Well, and I would almost say that barbecue has, we've talked about this before. There's almost a transcendent quality to barbecue, but I've talked to a number of teams where this is a side thing, this is a hobby, but they really want to turn it into something more. They would like it to become a profession. Some of these guys even have like a catering thing that they do on the side to fund their barbecue competition.
Oh, yeah.
And that's besides their day job, right? And so a lot of times barbecue will bring hope to someone who otherwise wouldn't feel like they had the hope, because what value is there in being a good cook? Well, if you're a good enough cook, there's a lot of value in it. And that's something that the World Food Championship can help highlight. That's something that the State Cookoff Association can help highlight.
Absolutely.
And it's just a very interesting thing talking to these folks and saying to them, hey, what do you do as a day job? And they always say, well, my day job is this, but
Yeah.
if I can win here or if I can win next year, this is going to be my thing.
Barbecue started as a common man's food. How cheap can you feed a family with this large cut of meat and
That
get it
no one else wants, by the
and
way.
no one else
Yeah.
wants? How inexpensive can we feed our people? But it's turned into much more than that. It's turned into careers for people, opportunities to serve others. Operation Barbecue Relief, what they're doing, they're taking
Amazing.
taking a brisket and pork butt and serving tons of people and changing lives.
It's like the loaves and fishes with barbecue.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you don't see a value in barbecue doing that, those guys, the competition cooks that go down and do that for barbecue.
And it's on their own dime.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
People donate money to Operation Barbecue Relief, but these guys that are going out there and actually putting the boots on the ground and making it happen, that's their time, their money, their resources, and pouring out from a place that you can't deny that isn't anywhere from the heart. I mean, that's amazing.
So while we're talking about this, www.operationbarbecuerelief.com. Go there. It's real easy to donate. $5, $2, $10, anything you can. Forego a cup of coffee for the day. Like, just help
and
them
it all
out.
goes directly to what they're doing. It doesn't pass through a bunch of middlemen and get diverted over to someone's fat cat salary, or it just goes right to where it's needed.
Yeah,
So.
strictly families in crisis. That's exactly where it goes.
Yeah, you can also go on there and volunteer, sign up to volunteer for the next disaster if it happens in your area. You get yourself on that list, and they will contact you, and you can help them out with whatever you have or whatever skill you can offer if something like that happens to you and your people in your neck of the woods.
Oh, yeah, and even if that skill is taking trash out of a trash can and dumping it out so somebody can put more trash in it again. I mean, you don't have to have a pro-level skill set at the grill to make an impact.
We talked a lot about this with Jim, your partner, Michelle.
Absolutely, Michelle Higgins, yeah.
We had a lot of fun talking to her, had her on the show. That was absolutely fantastic. You guys were ramping up for your Veterans Day barbecue competition. Yep. Of course, you were ramping up for this event as well. And so we look forward to having you guys on the show again in the future.
We appreciate you spreading the word about Ozarks and everything else that we're doing.
Always.
Michelle is awesome. She's our fluff and puff, as I put it, and I'm the details in the background guy.
All right, no details. Keep going.
No, not that kind.
Do you guys, through SCA, do you guys come across people who are working with the Wounded Warrior Project at all ever?
I don't think we've done specific events with that, but, a lot of our events are charitable events for different things. We just hadn't came across that yet for some reason.
One of the guys out there that I really would like to sort of spotlight, he really would never do this himself, is Christopher Prieto out of Wendell area, North Carolina, with Prime Barbecue. Yeah. He, for a while now, has been putting on just top shelf courses on how to cook the barbecue sort of gamut of the 4 meats for people involved who have veterans who have been impacted by their military service, whether it's physical, mental, or both. And I know that for many of these men and women, the regimented sort of process of that 4-meat timeline competition is kind of what was a big part of their military service, and it helps them direct their level of focus into something that has a result that ends up making people in their lives happy. The food that they prepare.
It's very positive.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's a very positive channel for where their energy is going, and that's very important. We do the same thing in Oregon for Spirits Distillery. A portion of their proceeds all across the board goes to local combat vets and their families.
Awesome.
So stuff like that, it is very important. But I get exactly what you're saying with the regimented time and everything. It brings a familiarity to those folks because that's something that they got familiar with in the military. And now they're using that and they're giving it back out and they're giving it to people, and people are saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's sort of a retraining of the wiring in the brain, if you know what I'm talking about. You guys, are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
So many times the struggle seems to be, and again, my father and brother both retired from military service. I did not serve, so I'm just looking at it from the outside, but it seems the transition between military life to civilian life again, right? For some can be a challenge. And again, when you know that you're using a skill set that then people will come to you for and thank you for, and it's not something that's non-tangible.
Yeah, and speaking of volunteer, by the way, I want to come back around to the State Cookoff Association because you guys are always looking for volunteers as well.
Yeah, it takes an army sometimes to run these events, and we show up a lot of times. Well, Jim, give them your sample when you're to San Diego.
Wow, San Diego. Somebody called, said, will you go to San Diego? I'm like, sure, why not? Sounds like a great time.
Couldn't suck?
No, it was awesome. Loved San Diego. I wanted to stay. It does take volunteers. We have certified judges that we bring in, right? And we need other people on hand. If you look around here, it's taking a bunch of us to run this. So, yeah, we'd love to have volunteers come in, learn about what we do, get them involved, sample some of the steaks while they're there. That's a big thing to get people involved. The more you can get your local people having fun, have a beverage, have some food, see what we're about, the more we're going to get more people involved.
And let's talk a little bit about becoming a judge. Because I think a lot of people think that they'll just be able to show up and eat some steak and write down on a note card.
Well, most people know their way around a fork. We didn't get the size we are in America by not knowing our way around a fork. But there is an art to judging. You don't just show up and, all right, I'm judging. It's there's a lot of little nuances to these things, and the guys that cook these things, it's a fine line between winning and losing.
Yeah.
And educating the judges on exactly what they're looking for is very, very important to the process. The guys spent a lot of money coming out here. There's guys that came from Canada to compete here. There's guys from South Texas that came out here, from California. So they've got a lot of money invested, and they put a lot of faith in our system that they're going to get judged fairly. And so we have a great time doing this. We have a lot of fun, but we take the judging very seriously.
That's good. That's very good. It's important that you're not lackadaisical about it, because that is the downfall of a lot of barbecue competitions, where they put out on social media, hey, do you want to be a judge, come on down, and you end up with vegans that have decided to not be vegan for one day, and they're going to judge your barbecue, just stuff like that.
Oh, that's happened. I've heard Heath Riles told me a story with Heath Riles Barbecue out of the Memphis, Tennessee area. I think he was at Memphis in May one time, where they were doing an on-site judging. And there's this guy showed up, and I won't go into all the details to describe the gentleman. It was hilarious, but just very formal attire, just so on and so forth. He comes in, and he sits in front of Heath, and Heath's kind of walking him through the stories these guys tell about I've raised this pig from a piglet, and it has here's his birth certificate, and, all this stuff. And it's like, we get to the point where Heath notices as this gentleman is tasting the pork, he's just like sucking the juices off of it and putting the pork pieces down on the plate. Like, and Heath actually made the sounds that I'm not going to make right now.
Sure.
But I think you get the mental image, and
half of our listeners will appreciate that.
Yeah. After a while,
the southern ones.
Heath, if you know Heath, he asked this question as only Heath could. He's like, "Is there something wrong?" and the guy said, "Oh, well, I'm a vegetarian."
Oh, wow.
I'll judge you well. It tastes good, but I don't eat meat. And how does that happen?
I've got two steak people sitting here just with this grimace on their face right now. They're not even laughing. They're just.
I think I just registered disgust. Like,
That's just a failure of the system. Unfortunately, sorry. And I know he's a great guy.
Oh, one of the best out there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's unfortunately sometimes you're going to run into some things at some events that are crazy. But that's kind of what led us to start SCA. Was we went to some events and we're like, is this really happening? And that was kind of feel for us to start something that was different and that was on standardized rules for steak.
Well, one of the things that I know you and I spoke about that I think is important to bring out too is how much you guys rely on the quality and the people skills and the organizational skills of your reps.
Well, other than Jim.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, that guy. I mean,
now, Jim is a great example of what we look for. Jim is a people person. I mean, you can teach certain things to people, but you can't teach personality. You can't teach that integrity.
The soft skills can
integrity
be a little,
doesn't come in a can.
Right.
Well, but Jim
Sometimes
doesn't just
it
have.
does.
If you're
that
drinking
can
Miller
says
Lite,
Miller Lite, it does.
Jim,
$3.99. I'm sorry.
You don't just have charisma and integrity. You also have a passion.
It's about passion for me. I
That's
love
right.
food sport.
Yeah,
I've been
he
doing it
does.
for about 14, 15 years in now.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've learned a lot being right here. Followed him around for an hour yesterday. Went through a few meetings that really opened my eyes to what's out there.
Well, it's like the IT guy that acts like he or she is doing you a favor by helping you with your problem, and B, you're putting them out. You know, and I think we've all experienced, I know I have, in certain organizations where you just get that person and they're like, wait a minute, you're here to kind of facilitate my experience here. I've paid to come here. I'm here to cook. I have a problem or a question, and now I feel like I'm inconveniencing you, and that shouldn't ever happen.
when somebody shows up at an SCA event, they should wonder why the guy running is so happy, why he's having a great time.
Exactly.
And it's because we love what we're doing.
And it's customer service skills. And I come from a customer service background, and I think that fits right into my passion
you
in
guys
food
rock
sport.
at that. I'm going to tell you, I think I think the passion behind the SCA started out as kind of a grassroots kind of everybody is in it to win it kind of vibe. I think it's whatever is beyond that, but still maintains that at its core is where you guys are now. I think sort of often maybe imitated, never replicated. You know what I mean? Like that kind of it's going to be very tough for any other organization to really get at sort of the essence of what you guys have built and continue to sort of maintain.
Yes.
That doesn't happen by accident.
Because the integrity of the events that you guys put on, that's the important part. It's not just the integrity of your staff, which you have. It's the integrity of your events, the rules, and the way that you run them. And I haven't heard anybody say anything about how strict your rules are or how loose your rules are or whatever, but I know that sticking within your guidelines is the backbone of your events, and if someone breaks that down, they're not going to have the same experience. And that's what I'm talking about when I say integrity. The integrity of your events is so high; it's very impressive.
If we don't have the respect to the cookers, they're not going to come out. You're putting a lot of faith that we're going to give them correct judging, we're giving them a fair shot.
So true.
I was a cooker before I started this. Jim's ran events for years, so I want to make sure every team has a fair shot. When we walk up to that stage, I have no idea who's going to win, and I'm excited for whoever's going to win.
Yeah.
When you put your arm around a 68-year-old man's back and he's shaking, trembling because he just won his first event, that's what it's about. The little things like that, seeing that 16-year-old kid go on stage, and he's a humble young man. He's probably going on 46. He's very cool and collected. I would have been jumping up and down at 16. Well, actually, 16, I probably wouldn't have been able to cook like he did. The kid's amazing, but it's those things that, for me, keep me going doing what we're doing, but I'm not at every event. It's these guys out there every weekend running events that are making it happen, really.
They show up on that stage with that ticket, and I can't read it because they're shaking so hard, right?
That's it.
That's the stuff right
That's
there.
the stuff. That's the juice.
What it's about.
Oh man, we did that last night, didn't we, Jim?
What's that?
Well, we had the top 10 get picked.
Absolutely, yeah. I was off stage. They were up on the stage. There was some real excitement coming from the back room. When they start running up. I don't know if Johnny threw his hat or not, but
he did throw his hat this time, which is rare.
Yeah, it is very rare.
And he didn't assault anybody, so that's really good.
And you handed him the mic. Wow.
Are you kidding me? I tried. And I said, well, did I place an over-under on whether it be how long it would be?
I think you did. And actually, I think it was the shortest speech he's ever done.
It has been.
Ever.
At the World Championship, he and I are talking. He comes up there, and I'm like, uh-oh.
Here we go.
He reaches for the mic, and I sat on the stage.
Yeah, you might as well sit down and take your hat off and put it over your heart and listen up.
Hey, you guys, this is the part where you say how much you love him, right?
No, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
We wouldn't let it happen if he didn't have the passion. He's great. He's almost the godfather. He's cooked more SCA events than anybody. He's been around forever. And, he's very successful because he has passion. So,
and if you see that man's hands, look at the rings on that man's hands.
Oh, yeah.
I got one. He's got three.
I actually enjoyed listening to him talk last night. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, granted, I had a few drinks. Brett, you and I had a few drinks. Cheers to that, buddy.
Cheers.
I just met this guy yesterday, actually, but you know what? The barbecue and the drinking, it brings people together.
It does.
Yeah. That's actually why our parent show is Boost, Booze, and Barbecue, because between cars, alcohol, and barbecue, these are all family events. Every person that you meet in any one of these, they're all going to become family. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Where can we find Steak Cookoff Association?
www.steakcookoffs.com, plural, steakcookoffs.com. And we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Steak Cookoffs. Facebook is Steak Cookoff Association. And we also have a group page. If you just want to get on there and learn something about steak, learn some things from other cookers, throw a question out there. It's the Steak Cookoff Association group. And that one is just for cookers. And if a new guy throws it out there, guys are going to jump on it. If you want to travel across country and cook an event, put a post up. Somebody's going to jump on there, bring you a grill, bring you an awning. They might bring you some Crown.
Beautiful.
Just saying,
Yeah.
that's
Beautiful.
family. SCA family.
Yes, it is.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that. You guys go out and make sure that you're joining that if you're looking to cook in the Steak Cookoff Association. Kevin Sandridge, Barbecue Beat, the #1 rated barbecue podcast on the planet, possibly in the universe. I'm not sure. Kevin, where can we find you, my friend?
The main website is bbqbeat.com. Facebook is the BBQ Beat. And every other handle on Instagram and Twitter and stuff, it's just at BBQ Beat.
And you guys, make sure you're going checking that out. Kevin is super well connected. He does these live streams on Facebook that are absolutely fascinating. He'll get people calling in
With guys like Brett
fresh
Galloway.
off. Yeah, exactly. And fresh off of the tour, people who are coming from a competition, they haven't even got their wits about them yet, and Kevin's grilling them through Skype. It is a thing to behold. It is beautiful. You have to go and check him out, The Barbecue Beat. And, of course, you can find us at facebook.com/boostboostbarbecue, facebook.com/pardonmyfork, boostboostbbq.com is where you can find the regular show. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on, buddy. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate
Having
it.
a ton of fun. You guys are awesome. And we will see you next time.
Boost Booze and Barbecue.